This is Watchtower to Pilgrim. Proceed with mission. Under no circumstances must the local authorities be aware of our visit. What is taken? Over.
What are you waiting for? I done told you, if you sees the police, you runs. You're lucky this fella's gonna... Now listen.
Well, howdy. You be careful.
Hey. Listen, Red. I'm looking for one of the jurors on my mama's case. Hi. I heard...
Happy trails.
And his ego-constraint illusions have been successfully removed.
So, what exactly does the Vernon program involve?
It's a rather complicated psychoscientific methodology that's difficult to summarize. But basically, we teach people to empower their suppressed self and free their inner power through a series of reinforced messages, self-help groups, and of course, beatings with large sticks.
Beatings?
Purely metaphorical beatings. These sticks are, of course, merely a psycho-visual tool to help my victims shatter their own self-ego delusions.
Okay. So if I came to your seminar, how would you help me?
Well, I'd start out by simply assessing your critical path to self-enlightenment and positive ego adjustment.
And what exactly would that involve?
Quite simply, I'd use a positive-negative deconstructive method to gauge what I like to call your life balance quotient as a self-expressive entity, i.e. person of the human genre.
But on a practical level, how would you help me?
I'd begin by discussing your goals, your aspirations, and your bank balance. Once we'd established what your life motivational drivers are, I'd then move on to your fears, your negative identity persona traits, and any illegal actions you may have committed in the past but were never punished for. Once I'd created what I call an all-encompassing persona map, we'd begin by taking you, as you are now, and utilizing techniques to remind you of your negative traits and self-interest ego manifestations, usually in a group of around 5 to 6 people. and reduce you to a blubbering wreck on the floor using insults, threats of violence, and big sticks.
And what purpose does that serve?
You mean aside from being immensely satisfying for me and my acolytes?
Yes.
Well, to be a whole, living, breathing, thinking self, one must first be willing to be deconstructed to a worthless non-entity, free of all ego restraints and self-oriented psycho goals. This is, of course, just one method we employ, and it's used quite sparingly.
So, the use of this technique is pretty rare?
Yes, and we have many other methods at our disposal, even some that don't involve physical pain. We may employ a non-visual recognitive ego manipulation, where we simply ignore the person undergoing treatment. Or we could use what I call a self-blockade exclusion exercise, where the subject is stripped naked and paraded around the dungeon, thus breaking down the artificial barriers between self and other. Or failing that, we may utilize what I call the hot iron rod insertion ego readjustment technique. There are a number of options available within the Vernon program.
I've heard you talk about beating people with sticks, stripping them naked, and now you're talking about what sounds like some kind of medieval torture.
Modern man has become so blinded by so-called scientists and contemporary self-image reinforcement ego inhibitors that he's lost sight of the fact that many, much older methodologies do in fact have relevance even today. Herbal remedies, so-called alternative medicines, acupuncture, reflexology, they all have proven worth.
Yes, but there's a difference between drinking tea made from tree bark and torturing someone with hot irons.
But is there really? Both achieve the same end results. The victim is eventually bent to my will and can then be made to confess to any charge I see fit to level at him.
Excuse me?
Or her.
And this is still going on? I mean, people are still coming to you?
Oh yes, I've had many successes, although some take more persuasion than others.
But isn't torturing people, well, illegal?
It depends really on your definition of illegal, torture, and people.
Well, I usually go by the standard definitions.
Well, if you're going to use such narrow definitions, then you are going to encounter some rather serious negative ego disempowerment situations. I prefer the definitions non-conceptually acceptable in an archetype-obsessed society, outlook realignment, and victims. If you'd allow me to subject you to one of my intensive weekend courses of self-realignment positivity therapy, and possibly some minor whippings, a few hours hanging naked by your feet, and perhaps a minor spell of boiling in hot oil, I'm sure you'd see that you're merely relying on a group-constructed psychomechanism of negative objectivism to reassure and feed your self-ego manipulation state.
Well, it's certainly been enlightening speaking with you, but I'm afraid we're out of time. Vernon, thank you for coming in today.
My pleasure, Laura, and I hope to see you at our next seminar.
We'll be back after this.
Tonight on WANQ, he's a maverick cop, and he's not afraid to bend the rules of nonconformist copness. He's Hyde Homicide.
I recognize that look, Hyde. What you got planned?
I thought I'd maybe follow procedure, drive my sensible, fuel-efficient car within the speed limits for a while, then maybe do some paperwork in triplicate.
The mayor's all over my butt like a bad pair of pants. Get out there, do something maverick, and bend some rules.
What? And risk my pension? No way, Lieutenant. You want some maverick cop to do something maverick? Well, I'm so maverick I do double maverick things, which, in their own way, aren't maverick at all. And you can tell that to the mayor, preferably in a nicely worded letter. Now there's parking tickets out there that ain't gonna file themselves.
Hyde Homicide, a new breed of maverick cop, only on WANQ.
Welcome back to Local Eyes with me, Laura Woods. If you have a view you'd like to share with us on the show, you know the number. Call now on 555-YAK and we'll put you on the air. We'll be back after this word from our
Okay, let's roll. I gotta let these losers see I'm in town and how cool I am.